Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the live trading session, live trading webinar today with Scott Pulcini, futures trader. We do this every Thursday at 10 a.m. It's part of our educational webinar today with Scott Pulcini, futures trader. Our process here, which is very simple and straightforward. We offer an educational course online, and then every day during the week we have a webinar that will go through how to read or utilize that information from that educational course in the live market. And then we have 2 days during the week where we have live trading, so you get insight from other traders, how they read order flow and apply it to their trading, and then trade live. So you get their very specific way of trading. So you get insight to all of that. Today with Scott Pulcini, you know who he is. He does offer educational services and mentorship. I'll put this into the chat if you're interested. We need to go through, whoops, there's his website. We need to go through the risk disclosures here, and then we'll jump right into the live market. General disclosure, now this is important. All Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Live trading is in simulation, demo, paper trading mode, and strictly for educational purposes. Live trading executed in simulation cannot accurately represent realistic trading performance. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss. It is not suitable for all investors. An investor could potentially lose all or more than the initial investment. Risk capital is money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security nor lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so with that said, let's hand it over to Scott. Scott, are you in here? There he is. All right. Let me get your screen here, and then I'll share it, and then we can get going.
One second here. Why this is not showing my screen.
There it is.
You see soybeans?
Got it. Hold on a minute here. Put it on the other page. Oops. Okay.
See soybeans?
Yeah, you're all set to go.
Okay. All right, little rattle here. Yes, I was short, and then the number came out, and buy ice was coming in. I was trying to have multiple accounts and auto trader, and I was trying to cancel it, and then things swiped up, stopped me out. So, and it's like 10 things firing off right now. So, just trying to get the zone correct for soybeans. I'm currently short this. We'll go over this here in a second. This is correct. On my own personal, as we used to say on the when I used to work at the Board of Trade, I'm in my own personal fast market. It's when you're like flipping out and nothing's really going on. There was stuff going on a little bit ago, but now it's kind of slowing down, so that's good. All right, so anyway, I'm short soybeans. This is an important area. This is into the blue lug. We'll go over all this stuff here once I get going here, but I usually am out right away at the blue lug, but I will go over what happened last night and what I think this thing is about to crash. So, and there's a new setup right here, so I'm just going to trail my stop now in ATR above here. Again, we'll go over all this process when it slows down, but 3.77 is your ATR, so I'm going to go a little bit outside there, so I'm going to go 4 cents outside here, which puts me at 40.50. That's basically where I entered this short. And my stop was up here based on this setup, and I moved it down. Again, we'll go over all this. I'm just trying to get, I want to see how this reacts to this blue lug as well. But if this breaks down through this blue lug and then we build new lugs, I will add to this trade. Find my I'm a little under the weather too, so things are like magnified right now, so just bear with me, guys. Anyway, so if this moves 4 points out of here, which it just has, retest failure, I will go short, but I need to see some new lugs in here because I'm not going to short into the lug. I usually don't even hold my trade into the lug, but I think this can break, and I think this can be a monster trade lower. So hopefully we'll get some new lugs here in a second, and I can add to this trade. One second here. I got too much going on, is my problem. Hold on 1 second here. Alright, so I'm not going to sit here and stare at that. We'll see what happens with the lug. Anyway, equities, got the middle finger from ES here just a little bit ago. There was a stop run right off the bat. Well, there was buy ice down here. Actually, I changed the zone. This is going to be confusing for you guys because it's confusing for me. But there was buy ice down here. I drew that zone. Then we ripped up here. You can see the stop run. That's right here. And when that failed, it was pretty much the same zone. I just drew this new one. We'll go over this. But when this failed, I placed my stop. I mean, I wanted to get in this trade short.
Iceberg sells ES 168 contracts.
Let me, I've got to monitor this and trail my stop based on the new setups coming in here. Then we'll go over the shellacking I just took in ES. I didn't lose much, but it was like I had like 4 counts on and I couldn't get out, and it was not good. Hold on 1 second. Let's actually make this a different color. Alright, so that's the newest zone here. I'm expecting new lows here any minute, but I'm going to go now 4 points above this zone for trailing my stop, right? So just make sure I got this right. I did not. Right, so I'm incorporating this sell ice right here. This is another 160. It's not huge, but it's still threshold. Threshold's 150 in soybeans. So now I'm going to go ATR in here is up to 4.06. So you can see here. So that's how I judge the zones and judge my stops and entries. 4.06 is your current ATR. So 4 points out of here, 4.25 points out of here puts me at 36 quarters. So now I can trail my stop another 4 points down. I'm going to go just outside this most recent zone. I don't like to stop in the middle of zones. I'm going to put this in multiple counts. I'll be back in a second. Assuming we have new lugs by now, but I could be wrong. Not yet. I want to add to this trade, and we'll go over all this once I settle down mentally. We'll go over what I saw last night. It was pretty astounding. But I think this market is due for a major move. Hopefully I don't get stepped out before that happens. That's canceled. That's my new stop. Alright. So ES, I'm watching this. Anyway, what I was getting at, there was a stop run. I was going to short on this stop run right off the bat as a Dumb and Dumber setup, one of my 6 setups, and it came down here, and there was this ice zone was down here, and I put it, an ATR was just outside the ice zone, so I shorted, and right when I shorted it, you can even see here, it was right at the exact tick as usual. Can't even see it with these swipes, but I shorted it, and this buy ice came in, and I was trying to draw the zone, and it just swiped up like 10 points in a second. So I just got out of the trade because I didn't know where the zone was, and then I ended up drawing the zone, and it was, it was my own fault. Back up, I tell you guys all the time not to trade into numbers, right? Because no matter what happens prior to the number, volume-wise, there's a lot of times a shift, and that stuff doesn't matter. So I did put that short on right into the number, and then this buy ice came in, and I couldn't, it just literally swiped in a second, 10 points, so I just got out, and then once I drew the zone, that's this blue zone here, and then we came up here, and we just put in more stops, buy stops, pretty much in the same area, and then that's what this zone is. I don't think I So that was this right here. That's the stop run. And now we are, see, I was going to short this ice zone. I'll come back to this. Let me just cancel this so I can get my bearings here. So this was the most recent setup. So I always default to the most recent setup, right? So this was the most recent. That's your stop run. ATR is 8.93. So we did not get an ATR above here. Yeah, pretty close, but no dice. So the top of this yellow zone was 84.50. We got up to 92.50, so that wasn't quite 9 points, 8.93 points, so I round up. So now this can be played as a potential dumb and dumber, right? Because we didn't violate to the upside as an ATR, so I can still play this on the short side. I don't really like the way this thing is trading in here. I'd rather see it move out of here to get a new setup. Just trying to figure out where this zone is. Hold on a second here. So an ATR below here would be basically right here. I'll give this a shot, and I'll tell you why I want to do this. This is why I shorted to begin with. So I'm gonna short this based on this setup here. We did not get an ATR above here, so this is still valid for a potential short. And I'm also shorting below this ice that came in right after the number, right? So if I get filled on this, then my stop's going to go an ATR above this zone where it didn't touch the first time. And I want to show you why I'm anxious to short here if this moves a little lower. That's my, so that's 68.75. 1 second. I'm sure this is confusing to you guys, and I know, I mean, you got these zones on top of each other, so let's just see if I get filled. If not, well, I still don't know what this is, right? I don't know what setup this is. It's either a dumb and dumber, where the dumb money pukes, no follow through, failure, or it's a stop and hold, where it doesn't get an ATR below, this holds, and the big money comes through. I'm leaning towards, actually, you know what, I'm gonna let this play out of this zone. I just don't like the way it's trading in here, and then you see above here too, you know this is where we're going, right? We talk about this every single webinar I do. Liquidity is a magnet, and I can see this getting up here. If this moves lower, once this moves out of here, and if this moves lower, I'm going to show you this right now from yesterday. This was a big ice zone yesterday. It was like 3,000 or 4,000 contracts towards the end of the day, and I drew it on this, right? So you can see we're kind of, it tried to break down, and it hasn't really got, and this is a regular trading hours chart too, so it hasn't, we'll look at here, this is a better look. So we broke below it overnight, and we can't get really above it, right? So this was all this buy ice, so it was like right around here yesterday, right? Tried to get above it, failed, and then overnight, you can't really get through here. So if we get down here, and then I start getting signals, I'm really gonna be excited to short here. It's kind of just bouncing around, because this is the area from yesterday, so. I already took a small beating in that. I will wait for a move out of here, but that's why I want to get short this market if it starts to roll down. And if it rolls up, then I want to be long, because this is going to be basically a breakout of this balance for the last 2 days as well, right? And we were breaking through this important zone that led to this directional conviction. I'll go over all this a little bit, but I'm okay going long above this, and I really want to be short below this. But right now, it's kind of just whipsaw city, so I'm going to pass on this right now. We'll wait for something new. Soybeans. Still no new lows. All right, so see what happens here. I'll come back to this in a second, and I'll show you guys what I saw last night while I was sitting here. NASDAQ. I was going to short this at the open. See this big buy ice came in. That's this blue zone. We moved an ATR below here. I was waiting for an ATR retest failure. Then we came down, and then you had some sell ice here that came in, and it ripped. So this is actually officially a broken ice setup on this newest sell ice zone. Right? So you see this See 128, that wasn't threshold, but this is 213. And then another 227. So you got about 500 sell ice here that was immediately an ATR above there, right? So ATR is now 39.6. It was even less than that before, but we definitely got, and this went 87 points above this zone, right? And here's actually a retest. Actually, I want to go along this market, and it's right here. Hold on. Actually, I think I can only put on one. We'll go over that too and how I figure that out. This comes back up. ATR again is 40, so the bottom of the zone is, or the top of the zone is 11,600, so 11,640 goes right there, where I will go along this market. And I'm playing this as a broken ice setup. Hold on a second. So this was the zone that I just showed you. We definitely got an ATR above here. Here's a retest. I actually should have been in this trade aggressively. We'll go over that as well. A lot to go over today, but this did retest this zone and failed. So I should already been long again right here. If this comes back, I'm going to be long, and I'm okay with that because, like I said, all that liquidity is above as well in the ES. So I think that's where we're headed right now. All right, filled there. All right, so now what I'm going to do, so this is a large risk trade, right? Because the size of the zone is 50 points and ATR is 40 points. So now I got in 40 points above this zone, and now the way I trade it is I make the market prove it can get back down through this entire area. I don't place my stop in random areas to let the algo stop me out. I place my stops. We talk about this every single week, every single day in my trade room. You don't place your stops where you want to lose money. You place your stops where the market is, where the volume event happened, because the market doesn't care where you want to lose or what you don't want to lose, right? So I'm going to go 40 points below here. So this is a very high risk, not high risk. I'm risking a lot on this trade, but if this gets rolling, because the volatility is up to 40, I think this could be at least a 2 to 3 times my risk trade. So this was at let's say 47.50. I'm going to go 40 points below there. Turn this down. Oh, 7.50. Close enough. All right. So I'm long NASDAQ. So let's go over this real quick. Still no new lugs in here. Starting to annoy me. Last week I missed a trade because I didn't build new lugs, if you guys remember, in gold. All right. So the reason I wanted to be aggressive, I should have been aggressive on that. There's just so much going on. I missed the trade. This was that sell ice zone, and we're above the yellow lug, and I enter out of the zones aggressively, meaning at an ATR, just outside an ATR, I will get in aggressively because we're above the yellow lug, the directional yellow lug, Ludwig levels. If we were below and I want to go long, then I wait for a full ATR, a retest, failure, and then I go long. But I'm aggressive here, and now my first target is going to be up here. I know the risk reward isn't incredible here, but I want to watch to see. I mean, this is 100 points away.
Soybean iceberg sells ES 153 contracts.
So either way, I'm long right now. So we'll see what happens there. This is just like giving me a headache. These zones, so I'm just waiting for that to break out of that area, and we'll trade that. Yes, hopefully. Soybeans. More sell ice. All right, so while everything's pretty quiet, last night I put this in my room. So I'll show you here. It's just easier for me to show this way. So this is what I posted last night. I was probably around, what time? 6:48 my time, so 8:48. I just saw this huge sell ice starting to come in. I mean, threshold in this market is like 150 during the day, and I saw like 200, another 200, another 300, and I'm like, what is going on in here? And then I looked at the relative volume, and this is what I saw here, and I'm like, there's something. I caught a little bit of that move, but nothing really happened, but now it's starting to happen, right? So this was last night. the way. Oh, it's right here. So that was the start of this move. All that sell ice started coming in, and I saw 18 times normal volume, 10 times normal volume, 8 times normal volume in this whole area. And you can see we really never got out of here, right? More high volume, and now this is starting. So all of these guys that were buying into that sell ice are now starting to crap themselves, pardon my language, but that's exactly what happened. So I would expect a major move out of here. I mean, I was waiting to see. So, when you're looking at relative volume, you can draw the areas just like you do with the SI indicator setups, right? Because it's still volume and it's large volume and it's traders that are invested in this area. So if this can get rolling down, I'm expecting a huge move out of here. If this fails and gets above, then I'm expecting a huge move this way, right? So we haven't really busted out of here, but I fully expect to see if this starts moving down a little lower, stop run, because all these guys that are long in here that sold into that sell ice, it was like literally just sell ice after sell ice. There was a little bias in here too, but I'm expecting a huge move in this market today. So hopefully I'm on the right side. If I get stopped out, then I'll be looking to go long eventually. So let's look at the bigger picture stuff here too. Find my chart here. That's not it. Struggling today, guys. Sorry. So this is actually the November contract. No. This is July contract. So I don't have my zones drawn in November yet because it just rolled, but this is big time stuff here. This is a major balance area. It tried to break out. It tried to hold this high volume node, and you can see we're right here. So this is basically less man, this little dude here. This
Iceberg sells ES 151 contract.
This literally, if this gets through this bottom of this balance area, you're talking this could be down to here. It can literally just retrace this area, this whole move down to here. And for everything I've seen up here, I think that can definitely happen. I think limit in this is $1.10 or something, but I definitely think we can go limit down. Even more sell ice now. 160, same zone. You can see it right here. More sell ice. I'm telling you, this thing is gonna.
Soybean Iceberg sells ES 176 contract.
So guys, this is what this is all about, right? If you are just staring at a chart, you have no idea what is happening in this area. No idea. With the SI indicator, you can see. Again, this was just since the open, and I know what happened last night. There has been literally probably 3,000 to 4,000 sell ice in this area. Like, if you don't have this information, you're telling me you have all the information? No, you don't. You're staring at a bar chart. You're staring at your 14 things on your chart. Your moving averages. Crude numbers coming out here in 5 minutes. You just don't have all the information. But knowing all this, I mean, yeah, you can see it on the relative volume, but you still don't really know what's going on. Then you see this, you're like, well, somebody really wants to sell this market, and somebody that has a lot of size. That is the driver of markets, right? To know that information. So that's, again, this is the biggest edge you can have in trading. And if you're trading without this, I'm not saying you can't make money, but you don't have all the information. I know, guys, I repeat myself every week, but one, there's new people on here, that I'm trying to explain things to, and I can't say it enough. That's the biggest edge you can possibly have in futures trading. All right, so this was rolling. Now it's just kind of sitting here, this NASDAQ trade, so this may take a while on that. Like I said, I fully expect this ES to go up and fill this liquidity. If that does not happen, it doesn't mean I'm not going to go short. I just need to see move out of this area. I don't want to be trading in this area after what happened to me right after that number. So if this moves below this, I'd say 37.60. I start getting short setups, I'm in with both hands, as they say. But I'm fully expecting, at minimum, at least go up and fill these guys and then maybe break. But if this gets above here, remember I showed you that ice, I think this can be a huge move to the upside as well. We're waiting on that. There's your new lugs. This is what I was waiting for, right? So now, I'm not going to enter this aggressively because we're just balancing on this yellow lug, but if this moves an ATR below here, retest that sell ice zone I just showed you, and then fails, I'm going to add to this trade, and I'm playing it minimum. And that's 20 plus points away. Just 20 points away. So now that's what this looks like on this. If we were below the yellow lug significantly, I would just short this immediately aggressive, like I was telling you guys before. I base my aggressiveness based on where we are in the Ludwig levels. So if we were below the yellow lug significantly, I would just short an ATR below here. But since we're balancing on the yellow lug, I want to see a full ATR retest failure. It doesn't mean it's always going to retest, but that's what I demand out of the trade. If I don't get it, I don't get it. I mean, I'm already short anyway. I will gladly add to this trade. ATR is 3.72. You can see it right there in the middle. So I need to see, I round up, so I want to see 4 points out of here, retest failure of this zone. So what I'm going to do here, put a little alert to know that we had an ATR below here so I don't miss this. I missed a huge weak trade the other day because I was lazy with my, putting the alert in, and I missed it. I missed the retest, and it dropped 30 cents, and I was not happy. I'm still not happy. All right, so we will know if that gets an ATR below there, and ready to add to that trade. So the other thing you want to know too, this is NASDAQ, and this is really important as well. This is on my AM webinar yesterday. This is what this is. There was probably 4,000 to 5,000 sell ice in this zone. And I kept saying the whole time, it just kept coming in. Kind of like soybeans right now, kept coming in, kept coming in. I'm like, I've never seen this much concentrated sell ice at NASDAQ ever since I've been watching it for 3 years. That's this zone. And you can see, yesterday broke out, tried to get back out, back inside, failed. And then today, you got buying tail. All this sell ice is going to be in a world of hurt here, and that is going to probably lead to a major move up. So it's basically, you can feel the breath holding right here. Again, this was yesterday, so it's not as important as setups today, but this was so significant. I don't usually draw zones on my bar charts. That's why I have this here. So now you're looking at a buying tail, you're looking at another buying tail, which means instant rejection, and it's not surprising to me the market moved and instantly rejected this area, right? So just thinking this common sense wise, right? So say you're the seller, you were the seller, you sold 5,000, your firm let you put 5,000 NASDAQ on it, and you're short, and you endured this yesterday, it came back in, and you're like, okay, I got it, and then it opened up here, it comes back into this zone. This is all based on my personal experience trading, right? So when I would get huge positions on, and it would move against me, I'd sit there and pray to the Lord that it would come back into my area so I could scratch the trade, right? So it's not surprising this moved out, came up, and I will bet you some of the sell ice started to peel out of their positions, and that led to that instant move back out of here. So that's the way you have to think about markets, because that's usually what's going on. Again, I know for a fact because that's how I used to trade. So being a larger trader. So anyway, this at any minute, if we get through this zone, and this zone is very, very important. This was Fed day. You can see selling tail led to this move. Came up yesterday or the day before, failed again. Came close, failed again. If this gets through this zone, you're talking this zone, easy. All right, that's 500 points away. I definitely think, based on what I saw yesterday, this could make a 500-point move today. Would be my, we got, first things first, we got to get through these zones here, but I definitely think we can roll up to these areas, and that would be, we tried to fill this gap. This zone is because of this directional conviction. Gaps are directional conviction, right? This led to this up move over here. There was some directional conviction here, so this zone is important. But that would be, if we can fill this gap officially and get above there, this thing's going to rip. So first things first, this thing's just balancing right here. You can feel the breath holding, but I'm telling you, you're going to see some major moves here, and a lot of these markets today would be my guess. Any questions, Bruce? I can stop talking for a second.
Let's see. No, in Discord and in YouTube, I think we're pretty good here. Yeah. You have to keep talking.
All right. I was definitely rattled at the open, so I apologize, guys, if I was a little confusing with my chirping. All right, so this the natural gas number came out. I think crude comes out at 10 on a holiday week. Anyway, natural gas just came out. You can see these huge swipes. This is a major, this is like a 170 tick swipe here. But you can see this big bias coming in. This is significant, right? You had 200 here, you had another two, you got 500 bias. Granted, the zone is huge, but we talk about this market all the time. It is the most algo-ridden market out there, but when the big money comes in, it disrupts the algos and you get some huge moves. So, you got to decide, hey, I mean, this zone alone, we had this problem a couple weeks ago, I believe. This zone alone is 200 ticks. So, I mean, then you add in the ATR. If you say I trade this setup, check your ATR. ATR is currently, actually not too bad, 50. You can see it over there, it was 50. So that means if I were to enter this trade, so say I wanted to get long, and I got along aggressively, well, I get long 50 ticks out of here. Well, I have to risk, obviously, the 50 ticks for the ATR. Then I have to risk the 200 ticks the size of the zone, because this is how I trade, because I make the market go through the volume event, and then another 50 ticks below here. So I'm risking 300 ticks if I were to trade that. That's just not feasible, right? So what you're better off doing is waiting for a new setup, drawing that, and then you can trade off of that. But this is not, I'm not risking 300 ticks on a trade. And even though it moves 300 ticks all the time, I mean, again, this move alone was 170 ticks, but I'm not trading off of this. I'll wait for something new in here, but it's just something to note. Keep an eye on it, as you may get a monster move out of here too. Let's see what's going on. Bigger picture. So this was a really, really, really important zone here, and you can see we just sliced right through it, right? This led to this directional conviction, that led to this monster up move, 2,000, 3,000 ticks, actually more than that. I just refer to it by tick, it's just easier. So this went from 640 up to 950, right? So that's like over 3,000 ticks that this one bar led to, right? And almost always when you come back to an area like this, you're going to get a reaction. It is so telling that this thing just knifed right through here, right? So now you got some other smaller areas, like this was a gap up that led to this, but this is so telling, guys. I can't even tell you this thing's probably going to do that. So that would be my thesis. Doesn't mean my thesis are always right, but you come up with a thesis and then you wait for trades in those directions, and those are your best trades. So to the downside right now, we have blue lug anyway, so, and we know how big that zone was. So what I'm going to wait for is hopefully we come down, hopefully we bust through, we build new lugs, and then I get a setup, and I will be very excited to short this market. That's obviously down the road. Hopefully today. This thing just won't break yet, but hopefully I don't get stopped out of this, because I just think this is going to be a monster trade. So we'll see. But everything's locked and loaded here. So again, this was 32, the stop of this zone. ATR is still 3.5. I'll just leave this stop where it is. So I went 4 points above here, would have put me at 36 to stop out, but I try not to stop out in the middle of zones. That's why I put it a little outside there. So get ready for some fireworks in here is all I'm saying, if history is any indication.
Gold Iceberg 5GC, 150 contracts.
Please don't make me trade gold today. But the one thing about gold is it's probably the worst traders on the planet in the gold market. Every move is just a stop run. When you see ice in here, you want to pay attention. And you're getting it right now. It's 100. This is another 100. All right, so we can draw. You can see this is one house too, right? You see this. This is another great thing about the iceberg on chart. You can actually see this is showing you it's one entity, the white line, and then it corresponds with this stuff down here. So I will definitely draw this zone, because ice is almost non-existent in this market lately.
Gold Iceberg 5GC, 150 contracts.
So this is going to be an important zone. I've been shying away from trading gold since I've been getting my head handed to me since the war started, and especially trying to trade stop runs in here, because like yesterday in my trade room, all we saw was stop run up, stop run down, stop run up, stop run down, and then this is what it looks like as far as charts are concerned. You can see it's an absolute chop fest, right? It literally was just one of these, like, and this whole thing's been a chop fest. But what we've been talking about overall, you have this balance, then you have this balance inside a balance. We tried to break down, tried to have a failed breakdown. It did hold where it should hold to continue lower, and it did continue lower. So now it's just, this is still a bearish market longer term, in my opinion, right? So this is going to be interesting to see what happens here. I think I could have drawn a zone here. Let's see. Not really. I could draw a zone down here. So I draw my zones based on the four important areas of charting. So tops and bottoms of balance areas, right? High volume nodes of balance areas. I usually don't draw the high volume nodes because it's just kind of an area that you can eyeball. What's really important is directional conviction. So you can see this was directional conviction. And then I also draw tails as well. This was a buying tail that led to directional conviction. So I'm definitely going to make this a zone. So when we return to this area, this is going to be a very good place to trade, put a trade on, whether it holds or breaks, right? So I'm going to incorporate the bottom of that, which got this tail, and I'm going to get most of that tail in there. I'll get it all the way up where this directional conviction started too. So this return to this area, you want to keep an eye on this area. If you get like a, say we come down here and you get a bunch of buy ice or anything, even a stop run, even though I'm trying not to trade stop runs, but whatever, any setup in here, you want to trade for one of those. If it gets through here, well then support now becomes resistance, right? This is going to be a very important area, at least in the short term stuff. You can see this kind of even launched over here too, so even though this did start down here. And so this zone's important too, but if this comes back here, I would play for one of those. Right now, this has been resistance the last couple days. You can see here, 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 here. So it's not as clear cut here what's going to happen, but this is why you use real-time volume. Now, this is telling you somebody's buying a lot right here. I have not seen ice in here for days. You got 121, another 100, another 100, another 150. So you got like 500 ice in here, which is a lot. I don't think I drew this correctly. So I always get questions on drawing the zones. You just want to incorporate, find these spikes, right? I have this on reset mode as well as my, we'll go over that here in a second, but find the spikes and incorporate all the prices that happen until the spikes stop. That's your zone. Right? All right, so ATR in here is 21.4. See right here. So just move the decimal over. 1.4. Well, I round up, so 22 ticks out of here would be an ATR. We're above the yellow lug, so I can enter longs aggressively. So this is also, I look at this as well for my bigger picture stuff. You can see this is a multi-day. This is why it's been such a chop fest. This is since 610. This is like a two-week chop fest. And you try to get out at the open. Let's make this so you can see it for a period, right? And now we're trying again. If this gets out of here, you're going to see a huge move. Would be my guess. So all these markets you're looking at big. My Nasdaq trade might be working out. What's going on here? You can see these stocks. Anyway, we are above the yellow lug, so I should be trading this aggressively. I really want to see this bust out of here. Like if this breaks out of here and you get buy ice here, that is going to be just golden, at least to the top of this, and then probably higher. But I'll still trade this because we're far enough from the red lug, so it's 100 ticks away almost. So the way I'm going to trade this is ATR is 21 and change, so I'm going to say 22 ticks, and I've been going outside an ATR so I don't get filled to the tick because you got these algos that pick up these volume areas, and then once it gets an ATR away from there, they snap it back. So that's why I've been going outside an ATR lately, and that's what I'm sticking to. It's been much better. So 22, so I'm going to go 25 ticks out of here. I'm going to go a little outside an ATR, so that puts me at 81, where I will enter this trade. I am cognizant of the fact that we still have to get through the top of this 2-week market profile composite. That's at 1850. So I'm going to be buying basically right before then. But look what's up here too, all this liquidity. So you know we're coming up there. It's just whether we can pierce through there. So this is a riskier trade because of where we're at in that composite, but I'm willing to take a shot on it, especially seeing ice for the first time in a long time. All right, my little one guy is rolling here. NASDAQ. Let's see an area that we may cover this. Pretty close. 38.50 is your red lug. The other thing you want to keep an eye on is relative volume too. If relative volume is terrible, this isn't too bad. We're at 100%, which just means this exact five-minute time period for the last 30 days. It's normal. Okay, so that's not great, but it's not, we've been seeing this nonsense. That's when you want to be very careful when you get to areas like this right now, even if you don't have use Ludwig levels. See, I was kind of struggling right here because you have these algorithms that this is VWAP, and these are the standard deviations of VWAP. This is one standard deviation, and they call it daily value area. And this is 1.5, this is 2. So when you get to these extremes, you have these algos that try to revert it to the mean. You need bigger volume to continue this up. So this is actually not a bad place to, I already missed my chance. Hopefully this doesn't come all the way back on me. Now this was within 10 points of that red lug. I should have just gotten out. I know that risk reward isn't for how much I was risking, but I get out at red lugs and then I just let it build new, like you saw with soybeans. I let it build new lugs and then I can get back in long if I want, right? So I'll give this a chance to get up here. One of the main reasons, as you can see, we're busted out of this as well. This is a market profile composite. This is I believe a 2-day. Let's take a look. Yeah, 2-day. So the way you do this is, if most of you guys know this stuff, but this is the value area of 2 days ago. Yesterday, more than 50% of this value area was inside this value area, so you want to merge them and then you make a composite value area, which are very, very powerful. And then you can then you can come up with a thesis based on how it's reacting. So that's why I just said I was nervous to get long in that gold until we break out of there. Well, this is broken out. So this looks like that, right on top of everything we just talked about with so you have this information. Then you know what happened here yesterday. You saw it, rejected it, right? I mean, we got these zones here where we may struggle with it, but I think we're doing that now. So, all right, there we go in soybeans. I'll tell you guys, this is going to be a whopper, I think. All right, so that's now an ATR below here, right? So now if we go retest failure, I will add to this trade. I'm going to put an alert here and not be lazy like I was in wheat the other day. I don't know if I mentioned that. So if that retest fails, I will add to that trade. So I'm going to watch this red lug. I may hold on to this. I always get out the red lug, but if this comes up here and just plows through here, and I'm seeing this thing go nuts, this tick strike that's showing all the underlying stocks that drive the indices, that drive the futures, then I may hold on to it. But this is what I have to endure now because we got up to this 2 standard deviation. Now here come the algos, right? So I was hoping we can plow through here, but I got that going for me, which is nice. As far as love here, movie.
Yep.
Bruce.
Yeah, that's Caddyshack.
Nice. It's not hard anymore. I've used the same line for 3 years, so you should know by now.
Always default to Godfather.
Yeah, Caddyshack or Godfather. Well, Godfather's number 1, but you watch the new show, The Offer, on how they made the Godfather?
No.
It's really good.
Huh.
Very good. It's on Paramount Plus or whatever.
Okay.
Highly recommend it. All right. All right. This is gonna be. So now it's like I'm getting greedy, right? Like you think I'd just be thrilled that this thing's just falling apart, but I kind of want it to retest fail so I can add to the trade because I honestly think this market may go limit down today. That's how I can't remember seeing this much sell ice in a concentrated area. Why did I only have my stuff for 2? All right, so what I'm definitely gonna do here is I will place, so in case I miss this swipe down, no swiping swiper. What's that from, Bruce? You gotta know that from your daughters. Oh wait, you don't have daughters, do you?
No.
I know, I was just kidding. No swiping swiper. Anybody know it? You get a gold star if you know it. Someone's got to know it.
Nat gas iceberg sell NG 167 contracts.
No,
So that's
nothing.
messed up in there. So I'm going to put my
Dora.
yes, Dora the Explorer. I
Razor.
have two daughters, so I've watched about 4,000 Dora episodes in my life. So 14.1175. So I'm going to go about a point above there. I will get out of the trade, and then we'll wait to see how it reacts to the blue lug. I'll gladly take a 30-cent trade on this and get out and reevaluate, even though I do think this can go limit down today.
Nat gas iceberg sell NG 150 contracts.
All right, we'll be heading over to nat gas too. So my two favorite markets outside, probably my two favorite markets, the markets I do the best at, actually, the natural gas and soybeans are both firing off today. So remember we talked about this market is in deep trouble as far as I can see. Hey, look at that, All right, so we definitely moved hard out of that. So like, look at this, guys. This thing just moved 250 ticks out of here. Like, that's why I was saying, like, yeah, you'd had to risk 300 ticks on the trade. I didn't want to do it. But this thing, that's just one straight move. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, if you can get, now we got another setup. If you catch a runner in here, you can make huge profit. So you see here, we got 157 still coming in. Another huge area. Hopefully it's not going to be 200 ticks wide. All right, this is going to be interesting. Chocolate went right down to that liquidity too. They didn't get their fill, but you also, we talk about this too. If you're trading, you can use liquidity as part of your targets, because many times the first time down there, you get these algos that pick up that size and they run it away. And this is the most algo-ridden market out there. So you can say, I'm going to wait for liquidity, but if I see it start to pull away, I'm out, right? To get out of a part of your position. Again, I don't have anything on in this right now, but it's just giving you an example. All right, so this is still coming in, but I think that's accurate. We'll see how this plays out. I'm going to change this color just so I don't get confused in the lines. I usually reserve the dark blue for my double whammy setups, which are stop runs, the dumb money puke into the waiting hands of the big money. All right, so we'll come back there and getting a move into that red lug now, I believe, in NASDAQ. So I may pop out of this if this can't pierce through. Come on, you can do it. Get up there. So this is why I didn't want to short this market. I don't think I would have ever been filled anyway, but I just knew this liquidity was going to get filled before anything was going to happen. But I think this thing's going to roll. So once we get above the spot gamma level, which is basically part of this liquidity as well, and I start getting signals, then I'm more than happy to go long this market as well. I just wanted it to get out of this area after my meeting this morning. All right, let's see what's going on here. You come up. Yeah, we haven't heard any stop runs yet either. Wait till these guys, all these guys that bought all the last 14 hours, wait till they start puking it. This is a straight trip here.
Soybean iceberg sells ES 150 contracts.
I just have never seen so much sell ice in this market ever. It just keeps coming in and coming in and coming in. Again, guys, if you are just looking at a chart, you have no idea what has transpired here over. That just gives you, if anything, it just gives you confidence. Like, okay, well, I know I got the big money behind my position. It doesn't mean big money is always right, but when you see it come in for 14 straight hours, and then it starts to move away from the area, like we showed, again, you can see it relative volume-wise too. But you know you're in the catbird seat, right? I can't believe we haven't seen puke yet. Stop runs. Those should be coming here shortly. If this moves a little lower, you should see it. Some huge stop run would be my guess. All right. NASDAQ is, of course, just dancing around that. Like they pulled their liquidity up here, but so this is, if this does not turn a profitable trade, it's my own fault. This was close enough to that red lug. It was at 2 standard deviation. The volume wasn't that great. I should have just got out and said, I'll just wait for a new setup. So Guys, this is what markets do, right? This is why you don't get in a trade and put your stop some arbitrary 10 points away or something, because this is probably going to do this and then it's probably going to go, right? I mean, I'm forcing this to get through this whole area. Can it do that? Absolutely. But this area is meaningless. There's nothing going on here. So this is when the algos start to take everybody's money that can't sit in a trade, right? That are afraid, oh, this is going to do this. No, oh, I got it. Oh my God, this is so painful. Oh, I have my rent. Oh, no, I don't. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is what these things are built for. And they're 90% of the market, 80 to 90%. So don't be algoed. Put your stop away from the volume event. I know I say it 20 times a webinar, but I mean, it's the most important thing you can do. We get a new setup, and that was close to threshold, but not quite. Just swipe down there so I can reassess what I want to do there. Any questions, Bruce? No questions? I'm just such a great educator.
Lots of comments here in YouTube from Peter and OD Lights and Coop.
Soybean iceberg sells yes.
But no questions. One question here from McCormick. What do you do when assessing the strength direction of the market's value areas, point of controls, long-term trends, order flow, lugs? How often do you check Hero?
I check Hero quite often. I haven't looked at
Net
it
gas
today.
iceberg sell NG 150 contract.
All right, so this is a new setup. I'll get to that here in a second. I gotta hurry up and get this stopping so this doesn't swipe away from here. So this is a new setup, so I can go an ATR outside of here to stop out of this trade if this rips up, right? I was hoping to get to the red lug, but I let the real-time volume. This is not. I either get out at major lugs of the full position, or if there's an opposing setup. So if this fails now, actually, is this right now? Wider. Can't believe there's sell ice coming in this market. I haven't seen that. Oh, wait, I've seen 10,000 contracts. All right, so top of this zone is 19. An ATR here. ATR is 4.16, so I'm going to go 4.25 points outside here to stop this trade if this rips back in my face. So this is pretty much at 19, so we're going to go 23.25 to stop this out. And you see, because of the new setup, I'm able to. That sucks because I was waiting for a retest of this setup, and that's done now because we have a new setup. But you can see my stop. I just was able to move my stop 14 points, right, based on the new setup. So this is deleted, if I can delete them. I don't know what the problem is here. There we go.
Just remind you, 5 minutes time, we should be getting figures and
All right, so I will add to this new setup if we come down, break that lug, build new lugs, and say nothing else came in and we retested failed, and then I go short. I'm not going to go short this into because the blue lug's right here, right? We are below the yellow lug, so normally I would get in aggressively, but I'm not going to get in aggressively right in front of that blue lug that's at 1175. So I'll get filled here. I'll see if we build new lugs, and I can possibly get back short based on this new setup if I don't get stopped on this as it is. I say my stop was 23.25. There's another attempt at that red lug. Come back. So this is what I'm talking about, guys. Don't get algoed. Don't be. There's nothing here. You're going to get this, right? Yeah, you're okay getting out at the extreme standard deviation, but what I'm saying is if you're, don't let them scare you out. Let something come in, and then place your stop on the other side of it. I'm just trying to. I just have too many positions on too many different accounts. All right, so we're about to fill all this liquidity up here, and these first two bands anyway. This is spot gamma level. So if we pop through here, now resistance is going to be support, and this is one of his major levels, right? So glad to go along there with the new setup. There's been nothing in here. The question is, do I push my luck here in NASDAQ? Here we are again, right? We're close to the red lug. So I'll give this a chance. If this stops flowing here, I'm just going to get out of this and I'll wait for us to bust through and make new lugs. I do think we're going much higher, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen right now, right? This could easily come here, tag this, and then do that. This has definitely helped me.
Stopped by NQ.
There you go.
169 contracts.
Now I can trail my stop based on this new setup, where I don't have to necessarily get out at the red lug. There's your stop run, 170, that's threshold. Draw the zone. This is why you want this sweeps indicator. It really helps you pinpoint it too. So you can see there, the blue bubbles, the black is the responsive selling that was in the order book. The blue bubbles are the market orders that swept right through there. That was part of that stop run, obviously. Right. Let's change our colors. Normally I would just be out here at the red lug, but this has so much going for it on the long side. I'm going to now trail my stop based on this new setup, so I will be giving back quite a few points here. 38.59, so I'm going to go 40 points below this. And do I want to do that? Let's see here. I'm just going to hop out of this. I'm going to take my money and run, because the reason is, if I get back 40 points, I'm basically giving back most of my profit. Hold on, I got to get out of this account too. Plus, we have a new setup here, right? So if this were to hold, say this just does hold and it starts to rip higher, right? Which it probably is, because there's your liquidity, you know we're going there at least. If we rip up, we're probably going to build new lugs, and if I get a retest failure of this zone, I can just get right back in my long. Yeah, I'll be costing myself some points, but I feel much more comfortable with that than an extreme standard deviation right at the red lug, right? So this is why I got out of this. And I can always get back in. I do think this market's going to keep ripping higher, but I'll get back in then. There'll be more setups and I'll get in. But again, worst case scenario, if there's no more setups, like I said, if we move out of this zone, retest fail, because it will probably be right at the new yellow lug, that's why I'll wait for that retest fail, I'll get back long. I don't need to try to hold and hope. This is telling me this is an area where this could stop for right now, and I'm fine with it. And if it does rip through here, again, it's extreme standard deviation, red lug, and I think we're actually at a zone too. Let's see. At least I settled down. I was definitely on tilt there for a second, because I couldn't even get my stops in on all my accounts, and it just threw me off. All right. And then you're also at this same area that we failed yesterday, or a couple days ago, right? Selling tail, this zone, that led to tail. This was Fed day, right? So this is not a bad place to get out. If this rips through here, then fine. I'll get back long. Fine with it. But I don't need to hope that it does it. I'm out and I'll wait for a new setup. That's the beauty of using real-time buying. If you are staring at this chart and you're long, you're like, I don't know what to do here. This is such an important area. This is what led to this, and this is what led to this. And I don't. Should I hold it? Should I not? Let the real-time volume setups tell you if you should hold it or get out. Right? Granted, I didn't technically wait for this to fail, but I'm using other things like the lugs. Right? So if this gets 40 points below here, then this is actually a Dumb and Dumber setup, meaning the dumb money puke, no real buying behind it, and I could actually take a short, possibly. I'm not loving it based on everything we talked about, but the other thing you got to realize is if this market is truly bullish, you shouldn't be seeing bearish setups, right? So that's, and we talk about in my room all the time, you want to, trading is very rarely so clear cut where everything's on one side. So we say like those old time scales, you have a scale here like this. Well, you want to weigh the things, right? So we've talked about all the bullish things. So you've got all these things going on. But now this looks like this may be one of these. So it's like, okay, well, you put that on this side of the scale for to be bearish, right? This is bearish. Let's put it negative. This is bullish. So if you get like the times you get everything bullish, well, that's an A plus trade. And you should be trading bigger, right? So if you're risking 6% of your account size on a given day, for instance, if you get an A plus trade, you can risk 4% on a trade. We talk about this all the time in here, right? So right now my risk is set to, so you got your account size 2%. That's all you should be risking on a trade. And then this is part of my room. Don't email asking me if you can have this. This is like one of the perks of my room. If you're in the room, you can have this. But this helps you decide based on your account size, right, how much you should be trading to only be risking 2% on each trade. But what I was getting at is if you get an A plus trade, you should never be risking more than 6% of your account size in a day, right? There's always another day. Just stop yourself. I'm not going to go on that rant like I always do. But on an A plus trade, you can risk 4%. So I was telling you guys, I've told you guys many times when I got back in the business, when I first started to watch Bookmap again, I was jaded by even the S&P because that's where I made my millions of dollars. And then I had PTSD and I hated it. And I still don't like it that much. But I was going into stocks. I was going to trade stocks. So I trained with SMB. They're a big stock firm. Dr. Brett, that's who introduced me to, I'm in his book, and he introduced me to Bookmap. Anyway, he told me about S&P, so I started trading for stocks. So I'm like, I don't want to trade futures anymore. So one of their things that they actually ground their traders. If their traders have to literally come up with playbooks, which you guys should always all be doing. I talk about this all the time. I rant about that as well. But if they get a setup that is an A plus setup and they don't put more size on than they normally do, they're grounded the next day from trading. They put them on the simulator, right? So you should be the same way. If you use the scale, you get everything in your favor. So for instance, if this was, turned into a bullish setup, everything we talked about was bullish. Now you have a bullish setup, that's an A plus trade. And we're breaking out of that market profile composites, so on and so forth. You can put 4% on that trade. But this is telling you something that this did not hold and go higher, at least for right now, right? You should be seeing bearish setups. This was, the bottom of the zone was 2250. So if this gets 38 is the ATR. So if this gets 38.08, this gets 39 ticks below here, this is officially a bearish setup. That's 8250, 8350. So this, such as 8350, this isn't officially a Dumb and Dumber setup. The dumb money puke, no follow through. This is why I got out, right? I didn't need to let this come back 40 cents or 40 points. So that does that. I'll potentially short this. Again, I'm using the scale. I know I've talked about being long this whole webinar, but this is an important area where this could fail. If I can remember where my charts are. Just looked at this, but
Soybean iceberg buys ES 152 contracts.
Oh, the rare soybean buy ice. What's going on in there? Why can't I find this chart? This is an area this could fail. I mean, we talked about this all morning. I think this is going to rip, but this has failed. Tail, huge sell-off. Tail, sell-off. Didn't quite get up here yet, but this is an area. If it comes back and tests that stop zone, I'd probably give it a shot on the short, but we'll see. The scale isn't huge on the short side, like I said, but I might consider it. And there's your ATR. So this is an official. And technically what I should be doing, I know I'm going to be confusing you guys. So at the lugs, at the major lugs, the red lug, the blue lug, I get in my setups aggressively, meaning I should be short here right now. I'm not going to do that because there's just too much going for this on the long side, like I said, and we still got to get through this. But if this pierces this is the zone I got long on, right? If this pierces this and I start getting short setups, then I'm more than happy to short. But I'll just wait on that. Sometimes you got to use a little judgment. Not everything is black and white. Let's see what's happening here. All right, stopped out, which sucks. But I still think the major move's coming. Of course, pretty much to the exact price as usual. This was not. I'm not going to draw that zone. That's upsetting now. I had limit down in my eyes, but this particular short setup is disqualified, right? Because we had a full ATR above here.
S&P iceberg buy ES 704 contracts.
There's the first setup in there.
S&P iceberg buy ES 700 contracts.
I'll come back to that. I don't really want to go along that market after everything I've been talking about. But again, why am I seeing a bullish setup in there now? All right. I'm getting rid of these other zones because they're giving me headaches. We've obviously traded above and below them. You got some new stuff here. I don't want to confuse anyone anyway with that's new. You can see here, 1300 buy ice. First setup since this webinar. In here. draw that. I want to draw where the major spike happened. That's basically that. Let's see. That's that zone. Try to color it for the color. Blue is by ice. All right, that's step one. Next, we want to see what the ATR is. The ATR in here is 8.75, a little over, so we'll say 9 points. Lug-wise, we're still below the yellow lug. And you can see these algos kicked in here. You had yellow lug and extreme standard deviation of VWAP. There you go. That's what happens a lot of the time when there's no real money playing. As far as this stuff, you can see we just couldn't hold it here either. This is a composite, but on this particular day it couldn't hold outside here, and now it looks like that's happening again. So now there's some stuff starting to point to this could be, and we know this is a major spot gamma level, this could be the end of this move for now. So we are below the yellow lug. Let me just refresh these and make sure they're updated. With Sierra chart, you got to refresh them a lot. So Sierra chart's obviously cheaper, but she has them for Ninja Trader, and I think she's testing other platforms as well. Again, go to her website. They're called Ludwig Levels, ludwiglevels.com. Do her free 3-day trial. Say you saw them on the Bookmap webinar, and she has like special pricing, and then you get even better pricing if you remember my room. But that's what they are, Ludwig Levels, Ludwig levels.com. To go short this aggressively.
Gold Ice Iceberg by GC, 151 contracts.
Come back in a second. I never got filled on that long either. That resting long. Again, I didn't want to trade this area based on, I didn't want to trade it before based on everything that's been going on in here. It's a whipsaw city, but I may, this just had its chance up here. Like this should have just plowed into this liquidity. It still scares me. I still think this will be filled by the end of the day, but it doesn't mean it's going to be filled right now, right? And we're day traders, so you could trade the other side or the other way, depending on if this breaks or not. So, even though I'm not very excited about this, I will short this aggressively. 9 points below here, which is an ATR, puts me at 75.25. Not loving this trade, but again, if this is truly bullish, this area is going to hold and we're going to rip. But for me to go long this setup, because we're still below the yellow lug, and this is the way I personally play it, I need to see full ATR, I need to see a retest, I need to see a failure, and then I'll go long. That's my preferred trade based on everything we've talked about today. Again, the market doesn't care what I prefer, but I'm just saying based on my thesis, I think this is going to rip. Right? But my main driver of my trading is real-time volume, and it should be yours. It shouldn't be charts. It should be this. Yes, you want charts to guide you, but this is what's happening here and now, right? So if this turned into a bearish setup, I'm willing to short it. I mean, this isn't like a ridiculously, bullish area. We haven't broken out. If we break out of this balance area, then yeah, that's a different story, right? So if we definitely break out of this, and we're right here, and I get a short setup, do I want to take that setup? Absolutely not. Because you have this trade for the last however many days, all the longer term shorts in here are going to be puking. Do you really want to stand? Do you want to short right here in front of a puke? I don't. But this is a different story. We're still not convincingly through here. So I know what I said about this, and yes, this is why my thesis is long. But if this turns into a short setup, I will take it. And you never know. We may get through this. If this gets through this, we're coming back down to lows. Recent lows, I should say. But that's getting a little ahead of myself. My point is, I have my thesis. I mean, you see this liquidity. I want this to go higher. I want to be long, but I will take a short here if this fails, because this real-time buy-in shouldn't fail. This iceberg area buy-in should not fail if this is truly a bullish market right here and right now. And that's why we use this. That's why I use this. This is why this is the most powerful thing I've ever seen. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that before. Any questions, Bruce?
Let's see.
Nice winner, but this is really upsetting. So technically, I should go long here, right? Here's your latest sell ice. Here's your ATR, where I got stopped out outside of an ATR. Here's your retest. So actually, if this gets up to here, I should be going long. I'm just very, 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 very nervous to go long this market because I've never seen so much sell ice in my life. So, again, I don't make exceptions very often, but when you see something that you don't usually see, you don't want to just ignore it and play these, these setups in a vacuum. I know there's so many caught traders above here. Even if this does rally, you are going to be met with this probably all day. So I'm not going to go long. I'm just looking for shorts. If this does rally and we get some new sell ice, then I'm going to go short again. Again, I usually am black and white with the way I'm trading these, but this is a different scenario. I don't want to go long. Doesn't mean it can't rip, but I just know how many traders are underwater that have been buying into the sell ice since last night at 8 p.m. Right? And it was a nice trade. I mean, that was a good profit. I was getting greedy. I thought this could go limit down. I still didn't go limit down, but just it's not ready yet. So that's that. Let's see what happened in gold. More buy ice. So this is disqualified because we got, remember the ATR was 20 ticks. This definitely got 20 ticks below this zone. So this zone is disqualified as a long setup. But we have something new here. It's not quite threshold, so I'll just wait. So we'll see what happens here. Again, I prefer this to break out of that market profile composite anyway before I go long, so, and I hate trading gold lately anyway. All right, so now this, yes, trade, or this is an official Titanic setup. ATR is 8.88. Did this get 9 points above the top of the zone? Sure did. This was at 86. That's more than an ATR. Could I have taken this aggressively? Could have, but we're below the yellow lug. I personally wait for ATR retest fail. Does it mean it's going to retest? Absolutely not. That's the way I trade it because we're below the yellow lug, and I also know this is an important level. If I do miss this trade, I'm hoping this can get above this 3,800, and then there's going to be new setups, and then I will take this long. I'll take the new long that I get, and I will ride it. We're very likely to get up to this red lug today. 38.66 would be my call. So we'll see. And here we go. Here's another attempt to try to bust out of this. Here. Attempt to break above this yellow lug. So if we do get retest failure of that zone, I'll go long, or I'll wait for something new and I'll go long here. And then if it gets above the yellow lug, I can go long aggressively too. I don't have to wait for retests. Check your volume. Nothing great. So this NASDAQ, remember we did get an ATR below here, and here's your retest. So this is going to be telling if this goes here, retest, and just busts through here without a failure, then that's just telling you, okay, now any new long setup, I'm in, we'll have new lugs, and then we're going to rip to probably the new red lug. Let's see, we just need this to get through this red lug here and build new lugs, and I'm going to be all for going long. But the other thing you want to notice too is we're at this time of day, my absolute worst time of day, where I've given away millions and millions and millions of dollars going back to my scalping days. Between 10 and 12 central, you want to be very, very, very careful. That's when the big money in New York starts to go to lunch, and then it's just free for all algos, right? And this is why I get killed. I show you this every day. Every time I get on these webinars, I'll show you again. It's very painful, but I need to keep doing it because I keep trading at this time of day, and you can see here, how's this time of day worked out for me? Pretty good. So this is just on this account. This isn't counting the millions of dollars I've lost. Like I tell you guys every webinar, I used to go home, literally I would have to physically leave the office so I would not trade because this would happen to me. Look at this time period. Terrible. This is recent. This is unusual. 9 o'clock I usually do okay. But this is pathetic. Just leave. It's like literally like I'm a monkey with sticking my finger in an electrical socket thinking this time it's not going to hurt, right? Like, no, come back, right? This is showing you 9 o'clock. This means 10 o'clock, and it's still showing me Mountain Standard Time. Remember, I'm on Pacific Time right now with the time change. So anyway, be careful of that too. It's, if you get this time of day and then you don't get real good relative volume coming in, you're probably better off not trading. So you can come up with exceptions. It doesn't mean the market never moves at this time of day, but you can say, for me to trade after 10 o'clock Central, remember I'm on Pacific Time, I need to see at least 150% relative volume or more. Then I'll trade. If it can't get there, no go. That would be very wise. If not, you're going to get algoed to death most of the time. Whatever happened in natural gas, we get out of this zone. Not yet. So the larger zone too, this is a 130 tick zone, but this is big size. 285, it's almost 500. It's over 500 actually, so I'm just waiting to see how we break out of here, to see how I'm going to trade that. Again, I think we're at the, weren't we at the blue lug? So let's see what we're doing there. New lugs, so that's good. All right, so now, so when you build new lugs, what should happen is, if this is truly bearish lug-wise, right? You want to see how we built the new lugs? Well, you want to, it needs to hold prior blue, directional yellow, and continue down. If this gets above this prior blue, that's telling you something's up, at least short term, right? And then now we have a volume signal here too, so I would go long that. Even though bigger picture, I think this thing's going to get killed. It doesn't mean it has to happen right this second. Right? We could do a pop back, because like we said, this was such an important zone here. So, but prior support is now resistance. We could pop back here and then die. Right? It doesn't mean we're going to do this right away. And the volume is telling you that's probably not going to happen. You shouldn't be getting, I mean, we haven't busted out here to make this a bullish setup yet, but if this turns to bullish, once again, if this is truly bearish and we're going to do that, you shouldn't be seeing bullish setups. Once again, you're staring at a bar chart and you're short here, you're like, yeah, I knew this is very obvious stuff, right? Yeah, I knew we got through here. This thing's going down another 800 ticks, blah, blah, blah. You have no idea that 500 buy ice just came in the market. Do you not think that is important? I do, because it is, right? So if you're short, you have no idea this just came in, and you're sitting here hoping that this buy ice is wrong. I don't like hoping. I will let that tell me if it's wrong, then I'll go short. Other than that, you could play this alongside, and then all the shorts are going to be like, what the hell, man? Why did that stop? Well, the reason it stopped is because a big player came in and bought 500 contracts, which is a ton in this market. It's on top of trying to buy up here as well. This was only 260, but this is a very important area. All right, run out of gas, Bruce. What time does your other guy start?
Tom starts in about 10 minutes.
Okay, so I'll hang on for 10 minutes. Remember, I'm under the weather too, so I'm not feeling very hot right now. All right, let's see. This little piglet stopped me out right to the tick. God. And that's fine. Again, I mean, it's not, I'm not happy about it, but the blue lugs right here, I want to see this make new lugs, get some new signals. I still think this is going to go limit down today. I don't know, what is the official see how much we're actually down today. It's down 55 cents. I honestly think this can double today if we start rolling down. Hey, look what's down here. I wonder if that's going to get filled. Anybody want to bet? We do this almost every webinar. Anyone want to bet we go tag this today? Remember, this is not, hey, look at all that support down there. I want to get long. It's, hey, look at this liquidity down here. The big money is going to force this market into their orders so they can get filled. That's a pretty decent bet too. That's 20 plus cents. That's 26 cents away. I'll take any golf bets. Anyone wants to bet around a golf?
They have your email.
I'll bet it. Round of golf, we tag that before we touch the other way. So we'll say 26 cents the other way. That's the bet. All right. Here's your ATR. Let's see if we can get a retest failure. And I'll go long yes. This is disqualified as a short setup, obviously. Looking at internals today to see what's going on in here. VIX is just in the range. ADD is really nothing. 800. This is your synthetic FANG. FANG stocks. Really nothing here. And then, so this is actually an important area if this gets above here as far as this. You can see this was balanced yesterday. directional conviction. We retested it this morning, failed. Now we're up here. If this gets through here, this is going to be a failed breakdown of this stuff. It's just the same stuff no matter what market you're looking at, guys. Same stuff. Tick's pretty benign today too. It's not really making major negative ticks. That's something you want to watch, right? That means the highest ticks are to the upside, so that's definitely bullish as well.
My shop would be like oil shops where they come and go.
See if we get a retest before I hop off here. Did the crude number even come out? I didn't hear him announce that. Oh, Powell's talking now too. Great, I forgot about that. So usually, guys, you got to be careful, right? It's just like today when I lost on this ES trade. I took a trade. We already went over this, but I took a trade based on these setups over here before the number. And then when the number comes out, all bets are off. It's a brand new situation, right? Brand new money can pour in the market. So you want to be very careful playing prior setups into a number. With Powell speaking, it's like a number every word out of his mouth. So I will take this trade, but you got to be careful when the Fed's talking, which is like 8 times a day. It feels like lately. The bets could be off the table here.
Stock sell NQ. 495 contracts.
Like this, right? It's like this is a whole new ballgame now, and he's going to continue talking probably for a couple hours. So you got to be very careful. It doesn't mean you can't trade.
Iceberg sells ES 153 contracts.
Back there in a second. Let's mark this up. It doesn't mean you can't trade, but you just gotta, you gotta accept the results. If you lose, it's because everything out of his mouth is like a brand new number, right? Changing colors here so I can. This is a huge stop run for NQ. The longs are not feeling very comfortable right now, obviously. See Pukaruski right there. So let's see if this turns into stop and hold and continues lower, or turns into a dumb and dumber. That's that. Here's your retest of the zone. So now I got to say to myself, do I want to go along the zone? It's a brand new situation. Powell's chirping. I will play it, but this is if you're playing this, this is not to be mirroring my trades, like we talk about all the time. It's for you guys to learn how to trade yourself. But if you are mirroring this, if you lose on this trade, you've got to accept the fact that he's talking, and it's like a brand new situation now, right? So it's 8.95 is the ATR, so I'm going to go a little outside an ATR here. Bottom of the zone's so 86.25, so it's 96.25 is 10 points. Well, 95.75 will be my entry on that. So that is.
Sell $35 billion of 4-week bills, previous bid to cover rate being 17, previous high yield rate being 1.1.
So this is this. This is definitely an ATR. Here's your retest. I will take that. But I'm under no illusion that this could be. If he says something negative, this thing could just swipe down. So if you're taking this long, be aware. Beware, beware, and beware. All right. So let's see. There's one more thing in CS. I'm gonna hop off here. So it announced, if you got to remember, the subchart is net. So if there's buy ice and sell ice.
Iceberg EB 507 contracts.
I'm not going to get into that right now. But if you're not seeing, like if you're confused, you're new to Bookmap, and you hear the voice fire off, and then you come down here like, wait a minute, he just said 150 sell ice. How come I don't see it? It's because there's dueling. This is net. So if there was 1,000 buy ice, 1,000 sell ice, it's going to show 0 on the subchart. Doesn't mean the area is not important, but I usually draw my zones just based on the spikes on the subchart. But if you hear something ridiculous, you could draw the zone even though it's not showing up here. And that's why you want the icebergs on chart as well, because that helps you see the actual areas. Let's see what I got here for my threshold. I thought it was only it's at 150. All right, guys. So I'm really watching this market. I definitely think we can go limit down today. I want to see new lugs here and then new setups, and I'll re-enter my short. yes, I will take this long, but I am very cognizant of the fact that Powell could chirp something and it's going to be an instant loser. And then this is your major zone here. So I'm not going to go long. We are above the yellow lug, but I'm not going to go aggressively long in Q until we could see how we can't bust this red lug, right? So on the short side, you could short this aggressively because we fell into the red lug, but I will wait. I will go short this market, but I need to see in this situation, based on everything we talked about today, I need to see ATR retest failure. I will go short this. And again, I know Powell's talking, so it can mean nothing if he says something new. And that's about it. I would watch this natural gas area. Whatever way we break out of here should be a whopper as well out of this 500 buy ice. And then keep an eye on gold. There's been buy ice today. I haven't seen ice in here in feels like weeks. This zone was disqualified, but it looks like it's still coming in. So just keep an eye on gold too. I think the move may be to the upside, but don't know. If you want to skip that market, I wouldn't blame you either. All right, Bruce, that's all I got. Unless there's any other questions.
No, I think that's it. I've kind of answered a lot of the questions in here already. Yeah, no, great stuff, Scott. I don't know if you've looked at our new DOM and Execution Pro. I'll go over that with you maybe next week or soon. Yeah, some interesting things in there. I just wanted to go over and share with you. So
yeah, I was waiting for someone was supposed to contact me about it. I didn't get any of the beta stuff.
Oh, okay. I thought
beta.
they connected you with all that.
I did not see it. Unless I didn't see it. Did they do it through Discord or send me an email? Because I didn't see it.
No, they should have done it through Slack. But anyway, we'll chat about it.
Okay, yeah, I didn't see it, but I definitely wanted to. I'm always 100%
sure.
willing to try something new and see what other edges you guys come up with.
Yeah. So for execution, you might be interested. Anyway, I'll share it with you. Some really great execution tools in there for very quick entry. But anyway, thanks, Scott, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Hopefully you learned something today, and I'll see you next week. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.